You talked at the screening about how this is basically a movie you've been imagining since you were around 12 years old.
True.
So how sort of surreal is it for you that it's here now, given all the false starts through the years, and how much does it resemble what that kid version of you had in his mind?
It definitely is close to what I had in mind. I mean, your idea of a movie at 12 is very different, when you're like much older, which I am. But look, we always wanted to have certain things like a parade scene where there's someone dressed in a turkey costume and they get decapitated and run around like a turkey with their head cut off. Like that was just, to us, was the funniest thing, and a human turkey. There were certain things that we just dreamed about. And Jeff Rendell and I, growing up in Massachusetts, all we talked about was how Thanksgiving was the most obvious movie. Like, how come this hasn't been a slasher film? You could kill someone this way and this way. So to actually see it coming out in theaters for Thanksgiving and seeing people excited to see it, it's really feels like my life's work is complete, because I wanted to fill the November horror movie gap. Because when I was a kid, as soon as it turned November 1st, the rest of the year the movies sucked. It was family movies and Christmas movies, and I'm Jewish, so Christmas movies do not apply to me. I was just like, ugh, get to January, February when the horror movies start up again.
You had the trailer, of course, which was so well received and was this kind of proof of concept. But now that you were actually doing the movie, did it put pressure on you, or did it not, to try to kind of match things from that trailer, given some people might have those expectations?
Oh yeah, no, we knew that no matter what you did, it's never gonna be violent enough or sick enough or accurate enough. And that sort of handcuffed us for a while, because we just found ourselves writing to the trailer, even though the trailer makes no sense. It's absurd. It's just a bunch of ridiculous deaths, and it's a satire. It's like a parody of a 1980 slasher film. So you can't really connect them in any real way because it's not about anything. So once we said, all right, let's pretend Thanksgiving 1980 was a movie that came out in theaters, and the day it was released, it was pulled from the theaters. It was so offensive, and every print was burned, and the only thing that survived is the trailer. So this is the 2023 reboot of that. And once we had that, it sort of freed us up, saying, okay, we can pick this death, we can pick this moment, but we don't have to be slavishly devoted to it. Because the truth is, the original idea when we were 12 years old was never to make a joke. It was to make The Prowler, Happy Birthday to Me, Sleepaway Camp, Prom Night, Pieces. I wanted a real slasher film, albeit a holiday slasher film, but when I saw Mute Witness, I was like, that's what I want. When I saw Scream, I thought, that's what I want to do. So we just went back to that feeling, and once we started seeing those Black Friday videos that were going viral every year of the gates going up and people saying, oh, we're so thankful at dinner, and then trampling each other to death, that's when we said, all right, this can be our inciting incident.
You know horror movies so well. I'm just curious, holiday horror movies, do you have a particular favorite, or just something you think is kind of underrated in that world?
Yeah, I mean, look, April Fool's Day, people didn't like it because the ending, but I think that is what makes it great. I think April Fool's Day is a pretty fantastic slasher film. Look, the slasher film that I love that's not, the two movies that are underrated, I think, is Mute Witness by Anthony Waller. It's such a fantastic, the first 45 minutes or hour of that movie are sublime cat and mouse slasher film set in this old film studio in Russia. And Pieces by Juan Piquer Simon. It just delivers on every single level. But when it goes to holiday slasher, the one that I love the most is Mother's Day. That movie is near and dear to my heart. I think it's an underrated masterpiece. Written by Warren Leight, who went on to be a very major writer. But I think it's the acting in it, it's the photography. Mother's Day, if you look at the character introduction, when people go, how should I introduce my character in a movie? Look at the way Charles Kaufman uses camera to introduce his characters. You have, one of them is the freewheeling one at the party, and the camera's moving all around the pool in this fantastic sequence. One of them, the boyfriend is dominating her, and she's always dominated and smothered by men, and the man is present in the frame and she's in the background. And the third one is very claustrophobic and is controlled by her mother in this cramped apartment, who's screaming, I'm a sick woman. It all mirrors the characters and what eventually happens to them in the movie. It's brilliant filmmaking, and it really shows it's an incredible film. It's a brutal film. There's like hardcore stuff in it. It's not for everybody. It's not necessarily an enjoyable film, but it's a pretty amazing film.